Today, I'm going to show you all of the best decks in Clash Royale for each arena. From Arena 1 to Arena 4, the only real deck you should be using is the starter deck. It has everything you need to defend, really, and everything you need to attack. You don't have many cards and options unlocked at that level, so the best thing to do is to stay with the same deck for the first few arenas, Arena 1, 2, 3, 4 usually, and then you could probably change it, but that'll give you a very solid base. The Giant is basically the only attacking unit you really have. And then you have a bunch of support units, you have the Fireball, you have the arrows. You're basically covered from like all angles, so there's no need to change this deck in the first few arenas. For Arena 5, I would say this Hog Rider kind of 2.6 variant is the best deck that you can use in Arena 5. You have a cheap unit, a cycle unit in the Fire Spirit that'll help you get to your other cards quicker and deal a lot of good splash damage. You have the Musketeer for range and air and everything. It's a very solid unit. You have the Knight as the mini tank, soaking up a ton of damage, helping you defend. And then you also have the Cannon, and at this point I've put it in one Evo slot. So if you notice in the last one there was no Evo slot, in this one there's one Evo because I think around this range, Arena 5, you'll usually be like level 8 or something, I think it is. Then you get like the one Evo slot. So I have put the one Evo as the Evo Cannon. Obviously if you don't have an Evo, you don't need it, but you have the slot available, so I am putting the Evo Cannon as the Evo that you should use. It's probably one of the most top 5, top 10 most well-rounded Evos in the game, and you always get value for it. And at this stage, I would say move away from the Giant and move on to quicker attacking things that people will have trouble defending, because the Giant is slow-paced. People will have an easy time pretty much defending that with a mini P.E.K.K.A. or whatever they have. But the Hog is very fast-paced, so they can make quick mistakes on that Hog and you can get a ton of damage. Obviously with the Zap, you have that to help you get extra damage with the stun on the tower or the troops nearby, or even just against the skeleton armies, small swarm units that the Zap will easily take out. And then obviously the Skeletons, very self-explanatory. Again, a cycle card, but cheap distraction, and so will help you in most defensive scenarios. And then the Fireball for that big spell to help you wipe everything out close to the end, do a ton of damage. And yeah, it's pretty much a very well-rounded deck and would be perfect for Arena 5. So now in Arena 6, you're going to be facing a little bit tougher of opponents because they're going to be pretty high level compared to you. If you're at this arena at a lower level, obviously you're decent at the game. So I would say maintain the same base with this Hog deck, but you obviously have some new cards unlocked. I would say go with the Inferno Tower because when you're under leveled and as the games get harder, you're going to see beefier cards with higher hit points that the Inferno Tower, even under leveled, completely disintegrates. It melts them. It does not matter. Even if your Inferno is 2 or 3 levels below, it still does a lot of damage and will help you clear out those big units. And then I've also added the Goblin Barrel because the Goblin Barrel can definitely catch your opponents off guard. You don't have the log unlocked yet, so it's pretty hard to deal with unless they have arrows or zap, which if they don't, you're always going to be guaranteed damage on the tower. Paired with the Hog going towards the tower tanking, it could be a deadly combination, and that's why I've added that to the deck. You have the same Fire Spirits, and then instead of the 1 Elixir Skeletons, I've gone with the Skeleton Army. It'll really help against, again, higher level tanks, higher level troops. Having so many units in a swarm like that will be vital in helping you defend most scenarios. For Arena 7, let's switch it up. I'm going to go back to the Giant with this Double Prince Giant deck. I mean, this deck will steamroll opponents, especially if they make any mistake. With the Double Princes and the Giant tanking for them, it's going to be very hard to stop. There aren't a lot of cards still unlocked to be able to stop these efficiently. And basically what you want to do is have the Giant, put the Giant in the back, obviously. And then over time, when the Giant's moving up, you put your Dark Prince, you put your Prince, and that is your push. And then obviously the Wizard can also support. And they gave the Evo Wizard for free, so that's why I put it in that slot. But yeah, it's a good support unit, and it's also a good defensive unit that'll help you in the other lane, as well as help you in your lane that you're attacking in. And then obviously minions as a small unit to help out as well. You have 3 spells in this deck to clear out any sort of defense that they put against the Double Princes, even though both of them do support each other very well. Having a Zap, having arrows is going to be huge. And then the Fireball, obviously, to clear out bigger units. This deck is going to do a lot of damage if you do use it in Arena 7. For Arena 8, we have this split lane madness deck. Recruits, Piggies, Skeleton Dragons, all split lanes on both sides for dual lane pressure, and this will overwhelm your opponent. Obviously, if you have the 1 Evo slot, I've gone with the Evo Cage because it'll help drag in tanks and also just a solid building in terms of dealing with the tanks as an Evo. So it's just great, just all around great. You have the Electro Spear for cheap cycle, arrows for smaller units, fireball for bigger units. The flying machine is great against air and very hard to hit, and especially at this level of these arenas, it's going to be a nightmare for them to deal with. And the skeleton dragons as well can be split, so it's a very, very solid deck and has parts of a meta deck higher up, but obviously with the cards you have unlocked, this will do a lot of damage in Arena 8. For Arena 9, I have gone with this Logbait variation deck because you do unlock some pretty nice cards to start playing this style of decks with. You unlock the Dark Goblin, the Goblin Gang, and so those two will help you a lot in playing these style of decks. And so you have the Snowball as well for smaller units. The Log isn't yet unlocked, so the Snowball is probably the next best thing you have. I think you have the Bar Barrel too, but I'd prefer the Snowball. Then you have a lot of baity cards like the Goblin Barrel, the Goblin Gang, the Spear Goblins, and all of those cards will help you bait out their small spells like arrows and Snowball and whatever else they're using. And as well as Ice Spirit for a cheap cycle. And then the Valkyrie with the one Evo slot that you still have at this level. I've just gone with the Valkyrie if you have it. They gave it out for free. So if you have that card, then use it because it'll help stop attacks a lot easier with that Evo when it's just pulling things back. Like if they have a golem going down your lane, you just put that at the top of the lane and it just keeps pulling it back, and so they can't do anything. So overall, this deck is absolutely fantastic, and now we're starting to get into some really decent decks with the cards that you have unlocked. For the Arena 10 deck, I've gone back to the same style of the double Prince and a tank, but this time the Goblin Giant is the tank of choice. I think this deck is a little bit better now that you have the Goblin Giant unlocked, and obviously if you have the Evo, for the one Evo slot, I've put the Goblin Giant as the Evo because it's just broken. And yeah, the double Prince behind the Goblin Giant will just decimate your opponents, especially if you build up the right push. Using your elixir properly, this push will be absolutely unstoppable. And then you have a bunch of smaller units like the Goblin Gang, the Bats, the Spear Goblins to help you defend and help swarm bigger tanks or even smaller cards. It'll just really help out with them being so cheap. And then obviously the standard Fireball, Zap will help you in attack and on defense as well. So that is the deck, and it is pretty solid. So for Arena 11, I have gone with this Balloon Miner Cycle deck. This is a standard deck that people do use at the highest level. So if you get good with these set of cards, this deck can take you actually all the way. So it's not actually really locked to Arena 11, but yeah, if you learn this deck early, it'll obviously help your journey out a lot. The balloon is a great win condition and it's balanced. It doesn't get nerfed, doesn't get buffed. It's like just standard. So this is a really good deck type to go for. You have the one Evo slot. I've gone with the Snowball. It's one of the strongest Evos in the game. It's insane. You could pull away so many troops and really finish off an attack or help you defend really easily. So that is what I've gone with for that one Evo. The Ice Golem is great for distracting and kiting troops to the other lane. Obviously the small unit of the skeletons to distract, to cycle, and then you have the Log. Finally you've unlocked the Log, so you can use the Log now instead of the Zap. And then obviously the Miner as well to tank for the balloon, and the Bomb Tower as your defense. It's a very well-rounded deck, a very solid deck, and perfect for Arena 11 and even beyond. And I hope you guys are seeing I'm giving you guys different types of decks per arena, so not just the same thing and upgrading it all the way, because realistically you'll choose one of these decks and upgrade it all the way. But I'm trying to give you a bunch of different variations to fit any sort of playstyle that you want to play. Try out any of these decks and see how they work for you. But yeah, I'm just going based off of when you unlock the cards, adding some new cards into your rotation. For Arena 12, I have gone with my personal deck that I use at 15,000 trophies. This is the normal kind of log bait, but a slight variation. So for the one Evo, I've gone with the Evo Knight just because for you guys, the Evo Knight can be used in so many different decks. There's a bunch of different decks at the high level that do use the Knight, and so the Evo Knight will come in handy. Me personally, I use the Evo Dark Goblin, but overall for the average player, I think going with the Evo Knight would make more sense. And then obviously you have the Log, perfect card for dealing with any sort of swarm, goblin barrels, anything like that. Then you have the Princess supporting you very, very well from the other lane and forcing them to either Log, Arrow if they want to get rid of it. Then you have the Ice Spirit for a quick cycle, Goblin Gang, Goblin Barrel, all bait cards used to do a bunch of damage to the tower. And obviously the building is the cannon. And this deck is super well rounded. I use this. This is an unbelievable deck. This is definitely my favorite deck on the list. But I think with all the cards you have unlocked, you can start using this in Arena 12 and it would work out great for you. For Arena 13, I have gone with a giant graveyard deck. It is actually a pretty solid deck if used correctly, and pretty easy to pick up and start learning because the graveyard, you just place it on the tower basically, but it's what you do around the graveyard that's actually going to do the damage and make the big difference. So you want the giant to go in and start tanking the tower and then go with the graveyard, obviously when you can. And then that is how the skeletons get a ton of damage on their tower. But obviously it's about defending and counter pushing. So with the witch, I've gone for the 2 evos. I've gone for the witch and the snowball. I think at this point you might have 2 evo slots unlocked, either this arena or maybe the next one. I don't know. It depends on, you know, people's levels, but in general, I'm going to start adding now 2 evo slots from this point forward. So I've gone with the evo witch because it used to be insane, but it's still okay, and this is the only other evo option you really have. And then you're going to go with the snowball, obviously a fantastic evo. But you have the bowler, the guards, the minions for great defense. You have the arrows for the swarm units or smaller units that even they place on top of your graveyard, you can get rid of it. And then obviously the giant as the main tank in front of those units to help the counter push, and then the graveyard to finish off and take the tower. It's a pretty fun deck, pretty solid deck, and a good one for Arena 13. For Arena 14, I have gone with the Hog EQ deck. Obviously, this is a variation of a deck that is used pretty high up in the arenas. Hog Rider Earthquake is a very, very deadly combo, especially when they use buildings. It just disintegrates the buildings. If they use like a swarm, like a goblin gang or skeleton army, again, just disintegrates them. So this is an insane combo. Hog EQ, you're gonna see it used against you, and you're also gonna see it used for you because it's that good. The Valk and the Firecracker are both insane evos, and if you have them, use them. Please use them. The Firecracker will help with supporting your hog. So usually what you do is you put the hog at the bridge, Firecracker right behind it, and then that would hit any swarms or anything that they place down because of its range. And then as well as on defense, especially with the Evo, it'll help clear out swarms, big pushes, stuff like that. For the Valk, it's the same thing. And then obviously you have the cannon for good defense, and then you have the Electro Spirit and the skeletons for cycle and cheap defense as well. So it's a very, very well-rounded deck. Of course, the log is here. The second you unlock the log, you're using the log a lot, bro. It's a very crutch card. It's a very good card. But yeah, this is a very, very well-rounded deck, and can take you very far from Arena 14. For Arena 15, I have gone with a Royal Giant deck. This has elements of a very meta deck that is used at a high level. So you have the Royal Ghost for quick pressure, and in behind the Royal Giant, it'll help clear swarms as well because it does a little bit of splash. You have the Fisherman to pull things to your King Tower and also pull things off of your Royal Giant. The 2 evos I've gone with is obviously the Hunter and the Royal Giant. The Royal Giant evo is just broken. It destroys everything around it when it shoots, so swarms are all done. You can't use swarms to defend it. You have to use big cards, and even they get knocked back. And then the Hunter will very much help you on defense, slowing down attacks with that evo ability, just basically stopping everything in its tracks. It's very good. You have the guards as well to help on defense, and then Log Fireball to clear up, and Electro Spirit to cycle. And so this deck is very, very well rounded, and definitely worth a try. For Arena 16, I have gone with this Mortar deck. The 2 evos I've gone with is obviously the Mortar to help get more damage when it's evoed, and then the Bat's a very, very good supporting unit. It forces out arrows, it forces out other bigger spells because Zap and other things can't take it out anymore because of the evo ability. You have the Miner to also distract and tank. You have the Cannon card to help you both offense and defense, and then obviously you have the Spears and the Goblin Gang. They're kind of bait cards. They can get spells out of the way for you, and the Skeleton King, obviously with that ability, is going to play a very, very good key role in this deck. It's basically like a mix of bait and Mortar, so you're gonna get the best of both worlds here with this deck. But yeah, it is a very, very solid deck for Arena 16. So for Arena 17, I have gone with this Piggy's EQ deck. This is a meta deck that people use at the highest level. One thing to keep in mind with this deck is that it does take a lot of skills. If you are not the best player, I would say try to stay away from this deck. You can obviously try it, but it is a very, very hard deck to master. But once you do, you're almost unstoppable. This deck has everything that you need. You just have to use everything the right way. You have the Log to defend small swarms. You have the Royal Delivery to defend other small swarms or big pushes. It really helps with that drop down damage. You have the Archer Queen with its ability to take out tanks and bigger units and even smaller units. It's just overall a very, very good champion. You have the Earthquake, obviously, to go with the Piggies, and that will destroy any buildings or swarms in the way. And the 2 evos that I've gone for are the Ice Spirit and the Cannon, because you kind of don't have much choice here, but the Cannon is obviously very good, and the Ice Spirit with that double stun is also pretty decent. I don't know if the Royal Pigs are getting an Evo anytime soon, because it seems like it's been rumored. If they are, then obviously the Evo Royal Pigs would go in place of the Ice Spirit, but yeah man, this is a very solid deck and definitely recommend it for those higher skilled players because it is used at the top level. Next, for Arena 18, I have gone with this Miner Rocket deck. Obviously, it's a very fun deck, but it does take a higher level of skill to make it work, because basically you're defending all game and you want your Miner and your Rocket to do a bunch of damage. Little Prince, great defensive card with the ability as well. You can have a couple units that are really helping defend. You have the Skeletons, obviously cheap defense. You have the Ice Spirit and the Log to help clear out. And then obviously the two Evos that I've gone for is the Knight with those hit points is just insane. And then as well as the Tesla Evo is absolutely amazing. To me, it's a top 3 Evo in the game. It's disgusting, bro. This card is crazy. But yeah, it's basically just lockdown defense and then Miner Rocket cycle. So I don't know. If you guys want to try it out, you could try it out. It's a very fun deck, but obviously again, a pretty high amount of skill is required to pull this off. For Arena 19, I have gone with this Splash Yard deck. It's obviously a meta deck, and this is one of the best decks in the game currently. So you have the two Evos as the Evo Knight and the Evo Witch as very good defense and then extremely good counter pushes as well. And that's when you go in with the Graveyard and the Poison for anything around it. And this combo is just deadly. You have the Tombstone obviously on defense is very annoying. And then you have the Tornado to pull anything into the areas you need it to, whether it's into the Witch, whether it's into your King Tower. And then you also have the Bar Barrel to clear out smaller swarms, and the Ice Wizard to really slow everything down on defense. It is a very, very well-rounded, very, very balanced deck as well. And really, really fun to play and easy to get the hang of and use at a high level. So overall, a very, very good deck here in Arena 19. For Arena 20, I have gone with this Lumberjack Balloon deck with double dragons. And yeah, this is a solid deck. The two Evos are the Evo Lumberjack and the Evo Electro Dragon. The Evo Lumberjack is one of the best Evos in the game. It does so much work after it's already died. And then the Electro Dragon really helps in clearing out a ton of units, which they'll probably be using because you are using the balloon. So they're trying to stop the balloon at all costs. And the Electro Dragon can really help take everything out. You have the Inferno Dragon for big tanks. You have the Bowler and Tornado combo to pull everything in the middle, and the Bowler can get a ton of damage on everything. And then you have the Bar Barrel to clear out smaller swarms. Again, very useful card. But the main push is obviously Lumberjack, Balloon, and then you have your Freeze ready to go whenever you need it. Obviously, a very solid deck at any level, but this can be used all the way at the top as well. And yeah, very solid deck. For Arena 21, I have gone with this Bridge Spam deck. Oh my days. This deck is so annoying to face, mostly because it hard counters my main deck, but it is so annoying because they overwhelm you at the bridge and you just have no elixir to answer all these things. So basically it's called Bridge Spam, and you want to spam the bridge. So obviously when it makes sense, not just spam the bridge brainlessly. The two Evos I've gone for is the P.E.K.K.A. It's just a solid Evo all around. And then you have to go with the Barbram as well because that is one of your main win conditions. And the Evo Barbram is a lot better than the normal one, so it does help on offense. You have the Ghost and the Bandit to spam at the bridge, which they have to answer or else they're going to take a lot of damage. Same with the Battle Ram. And you have the Magic Archer to line up some damage on their tower from far away and also help defend, as well as the Electro Wizard, which is insane on defense. Overall, you have everything. You have everything you need in this deck. Fireball Zap as usual, and yeah man, this deck will get you a lot of wins for sure, and it can be used at any level. It's really, really good. For Arena 22, I have gone with this Balloon Lava Hound deck. Obviously, a very meta deck as well. People use this at the highest level. It is a very good deck because obviously your main attack is Balloon and Lava Hound, which are two air cards. If the people don't have air, it's very hard to defend. With the Lava Hound going in front and tanking for your Balloon. Then you have the Skelly Dragged and the Guards on defense to really help out. And the two Evos I've gone with is the Inferno Dragon and the Valkyrie. Valkyrie helps a lot with big pushes, stopping them, slowing them down. And the same with the Inferno Dragon, it charges up so it stops things a lot quicker. Two pretty good Evos. And yeah, overall, this deck is super solid. A great air deck if you want to use air cards. And just very balanced and will definitely get you a lot of wins. For Arena 23, I have gone back to the Royal Giant, but made a few tweaks to the deck, and so this one might be even better than the first one. The two Evos are still the RG and the Hunter, so very, very good Evos there. But you have the Monk now to go in front of the Royal Giant to tank any sort of damage from projectiles, and reverse it onto the tower, onto the building, or anything else. You have the Lightning as well to take out buildings and bigger units. So the rest of the deck is fairly similar, but this is another deck that is used at a high level and will get you a lot of wins if used correctly. You just have to learn the interactions and see when it makes sense to go with your Royal Giant. But overall, again, this deck is very balanced and it has absolutely everything that you would need. For Arena 24 and the final deck in this video, I have gone with this split lane madness deck, but even better now. This is a deck that again is used at a high level. It can win against most matchups, and it's a super annoying deck to deal with. It's very good. So for the two Evos, I've gone with the Evo Goblin Cage first because it's good against the tanks and forces out more elixir if they don't want their units to get destroyed. And then also the Royal Recruits are just broken, bro, and they start sprinting. It's just annoying. It's just a lot to deal with. And for the rest of the deck, the goal is just to split your pressure on both lanes as much as you can. With the Zappies, with the Piggies, with the Recruits, everything is just split up, so they have to deal with both sides. And then you have the Electro Spirit, the Bar Barrel to deal with smaller units and cycle, and then you also have the Arrows to deal with annoying further away units or swarms, and then as well as the Flying Machine to just support down the middle. And it's very hard for the opponent to hit most of the time unless they have a fireball. So overall, this deck is extremely good and will get you a lot of wins. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This took forever to record. If you did enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, become a channel member. It's all in the description down below. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video.